Welcome, everybody, to the Outbreak official podcast, and I'm your humble host, Ray Harkins. As a reminder, the 2025 dates are closing in, and tickets are indeed, as they say in the business, moving fast or selling out or whatever it is you want to call it, but especially in Manchester. So if you are thinking about buying those tickets, cop them soon. The dates are June 13th through the 15th. The 13th is, of course, in London at Victoria Park, and the Saturday and Sunday are in Manchester at the BEC Arena, where we've done it the past 3 years. I think so. The newest addition to the festival is Glassjaw, which is going to be absolutely incredible. They're doing 2 album plays in Manchester, Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, they play Worship and Tribute, and on Sunday, they hit everything you ever wanted to know about Silence. They're also playing London, but it's going to be a mixed set, as it were. And then let's also not forget the rest of the stacked lineup, which is Sunny Day Real Estate, Knocked Loose, Turnstile in London, Drug Church. It's going to be an absolute party. Whether you go to London or whether you go to both days in Manchester, it is going to be an amazing time. Today, we have Cedric and Bjorn from Wrong Man on the show. If you are not familiar with their band, it comprises 2 of the members from Rise and Fall, who are the people I have on the podcast today. But it brings the same level of intensity, but they have more of a Discord vibe to it. And I got to catch a few of their songs at the festival last summer, and it was so good. And it's one of those things where when they do play, it's a pretty special occasion. So I felt pretty cool to be watching them and be like, wow, I don't know how many other people will be able to see this. It's really, really cool. So new episodes are coming every 2 weeks for the next, 3 or 4 weeks or so. We're running low on our episodes, which is, why we're trying to make plans to come back in 2025. So please support our presenting sponsor this year. It's Squarespace. If you are looking to launch a website or a domain, you can use the promo code Outbreak for 10% off your first website or domain. So go to squarespace.com/outbreak and you'll be able to claim that 10% off. And we thank them very, very much. And you can also reach out to us at podcast@outbreakfest.co.uk. And that way we'll take feedback and ideas for next year. So check it out and spread the word where you can, because that's the only way that this show gets out to the people's ears that need to get it, or eyeballs if you're watching on YouTube. You get it. Anyways, here is Cedric and Bjorn from Wrong Man.
Yeah, I'm Cedric. I play guitar in Wrong Man.
And I'm Bjorn. I sing in Wrong Man.
True pros. I was excited to have you guys on, not only because I genuinely like your band, so I can selfishly ask the bands that I like to be on this, but the fact that you guys are a band that are adults, you've had experience playing, hardcore and punk for so many years. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing that because you wanted to play in this band, you're taking all of your past experience and being like, hey, we made all these mistakes. Mm. Now we can be a little bit smarter, a little bit better about our approach. Does it feel that way? Like, not saying that Wrong Man is like easier to do, but like, does it feel, I guess, better because you have this knowledge?
From a creative standpoint, yeah, I mean, like 100% actually, in everything, I guess. Especially in a creative standpoint, it's just more focused. Like from the get-go, I thought it was very important to know like what the sound needed to be, what kind of like the framework is, because you kind of need a framework if you're doing something, and that just helps immensely. Yeah, getting the sound and like even like the experimentation. It just only since from writing early on, I felt very like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and this is actually working out now. So
it's not like your first band where we're like, I'm gonna rip off Snapcase and Strife, and then you sound nothing like those bands.
Yeah, exactly, because we're taking from different influences, but it makes sense. Like it's not too far fetched, and yeah, we seem to make it work. That's how I feel. So.
Yeah, and for you, like you've yelled for all of your life, and then being able to now put a little melody into it and like expand your. Was it? I know this is kind of a cheap question, but just like, was it hard for you to like put yourself out there in a different way like this?
I wouldn't say it was hard. It just felt like with the music that Wrongman plays, I felt like the room was there, and the style of music lends itself to a bit more melody, I guess, and something that we really take into account when we write songs as well, like to leave enough room for the vocals so that you don't have to like yell over anything. And in that way, it's been super cool for me because like I discovered that I can actually put like more melody in those vocals, and something I really enjoy myself. Always really had a soft spot for bands with melody, and now we can do that with this band as well.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not like, hey, Rise and Fall, you mind if I just like sing over this? Like, that sounds weird. Why are you trying to do that?
No one would have heard it, you know.
Right. Well, and to that, like the reverse, where it's like I know many people always felt like in hardcore bands where they're yelling, there are times where it doesn't call for that, but you're like, I can't do anything else but that.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna yell, and then you're just like, you're recording it, you're like, I'm ruining the record, like.
Yeah, true.
And then for you to feel like, oh no, I'm actually doing what the music calls for.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, this is what I can do. This is kind of a random question, but I think this is something that shows a bit of personality of who you guys are. So if I were to wake up tomorrow morning and be incredibly wealthy and then give you guys, €1 million, dollars, whatever, just a lot of money to open up like a retail shop or a shop. You don't have to necessarily have sell things there. You can sell services, whatever. Okay. So if I were to give that to you guys, what would you do with that? What would you open up?
It's a good question.
And there's no wrong answers. Yes.
I don't know. Do you have?
I think it would be interesting to have like a place that combines like the different things that we're into. So like a place that combines like nice clothing,
yes,
with like maybe physical records and different ways for people to experience music. Like just like maybe have DJ sets like every couple of nights for like people from different genres, and like have a place where people could come together and like enjoy music, enjoy clothing, maybe some food, drinks, like a place like that.
Right.
Like kind of a place that kind of enhances like a community feeling.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes like when you're getting a bit older and you don't see your friends all of the time, it's nice to have a place in the city or outside of the city, like where you can just gather with like-minded people and feel like at ease.
Right.
I don't know how it is for you, but for me, like being a bit older and like having a kid, you end up in these situations and conversations that you're just like, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
What? I cannot connect or cannot relate at all. So like just to be like somewhere like with a circle of like-minded people.
Right. I mean, it's like a bar, but obviously not like there's more. No, but I mean, but there's more to it. Like, it's a space where it's like, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, maybe like a space that kind of represents a lifestyle or a vision, and I'll add a recording studio to it.
Absolutely.
We'll practice it.
Listen, whatever.
Make some records.
You can make your own separate things.
Yeah.
You don't have to be attached to him. He's a loser.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We could work something out.
Yeah.
We could common
We
stuff.
could join. We could have a recording studio next door to the.
That would be cool.
Yeah. No, but that I like that, and it's funny because everybody that I've asked that question to, there's some similarities in regards to, like, you obviously want to embody who you are, but then that idea of giving back to the community, and you guys, that goes well into another question where being in Belgium, and like, do most of you live in Ghent or
I live in Ghent, yeah.
Okay.
The rest of the stuff.
And so that area, like, even for me being from Southern California, the fact I know a town called Ghent, Belgium, like, that's weird.
That's saying a lot.
I know.
So that means that you're very educated.
Voila.
Well, it's through the hardcore scene, obviously. So that idea of community and like being able to, you know, play shows in your area and stuff like that, is that something that you guys feel connected to as well? Or do you want to play, obviously, I mean, you'll play wherever and people invite you, but is that sense of, you know, Belgian pride, like not being nationalistic or anything,
No.
is that important to you guys?
Yeah, because a lot of our peers do really cool stuff, and it just happens to be a lot in Ghent and like musically, and in Belgium. And I've wondered how that came to be, and I don't really have an answer to that, but it's cool. Yeah. Because you also see people in daily life that are doing all these things, and like, you know, the other ways are internationally musicians and stuff, and it's like comforting, you know. It's like, it's cool.
Well, it also, especially, I mean, when you make the intention, when you're making merch and things like being like, hey, we're calling out our city, our country, like, I mean, people calling out America, like that's not inventive, but just like being able to say, hey, you know, American music, independent music scene, you should be aware of Belgium for all of these reasons. And it's like only because of bands waving the flag, not like you're going to hide where you're from, but like, it's a decision to put it on your merch. Like, not saying that one band does that, but like you guys.
We could.
Right.
I thought about it. But the Belgian thing is really cool in a way where we can meet people like you or people from like Australia or wherever around the world, and if they're connected to hardcore, they'll know a bunch of Belgian bands. And for a country like Belgium, which is so small, to be like a place that people know about and they know some of our history and some of the bands that came from Belgium, that says a lot. There's just always been like a lot of creativity, I think, in Belgium. I think one of the reasons why is because it's such a small country, like, and it's surrounded by bigger countries like Germany, France, UK. So like we've always been like at the crossroads of those different cultures, and all the tours that happen in Europe, they all come through Belgium. So like it all kind of rubs off on us, I think. And then we, as a Belgian, you're always very aware of the fact that, well, Belgium is small, and if you want to, you know, go beyond like this tiny country, you'll need to like step up. You need to like be creative, work hard, and you need to be able to speak your languages, which is all like the things that we grow up with, I guess, and to kind of like translate itself into music. And that, I think that could explain why you or other people would attach, you know, Belgium to like this band, that band, and this record label, and this festival or show, whatever.
Well, it is. Yeah, you're right. It is. I mean, and that's why I think is so great about basically every other country besides America in regards to supporting the arts. And like, you know, you guys, like, I mean, not every country has obviously changed and evolved, but the idea that was like, hey, the city or state or country is funding this youth festival to be able to put on shows, like literally never happened in America. It's just the fact that what you're talking about literally could only happen because of the, you know, cultural ambassadorship that exists. It's it's crazy. This, forgive me for this slightly hacky question, but like you guys speak very good English, and like that obviously was part of, I know, your education, like as you were growing up, but like when you started to like use English in practice, was that like the way you learned it in school versus the way you use it now, like just completely different, or was it?
I think one of the main reasons for us speaking English is just that all TV shows were subtitled, and that's a big difference with, for example, France, where everything is dubbed.
Right.
It's horrible to watch. But from an early age on, like, you know, American culture is very dominant. So we just pick that up, and when you learn, and then you learn it in school, and it just, the combination just,
What were the big American television shows in Belgium?
When we were growing up?
Yeah.
This is gonna be funny.
I think stuff like, I don't know.
It doesn't have to be when you were growing up, but like maybe like when you were recognizing the difference between conversational and like English versus.
Well, some of the stuff I remember from being like a super young kid. Like when my parents used to watch stuff like Dallas. Or like MacGyver.
MacGyver.
Of course.
And then when you get a bit older, then there was like, of course, like the Beverly Hills and Melrose Place, and then X-Files, and then you know, Twin Peaks or whatever. Like those were all like huge.
Oh, and,
Really?
and the Simpsons.
The Simpsons,
Yeah.
I remember coming back from school watching The Simpsons daily. So.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that some of the, whatever, Seinfeld, like some of the big comedies that came out, but then it's like, I honestly, like, the Melrose Place in Beverly Hills, like, that's why I never knew.
Those were all like primetime TV. Seinfeld never was primetime TV. It's still kind of like...
a little underground.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a bit. It's known, but it was never like primetime TV like those things were.
Wow, that's funny.
I think Dallas was the first one for me.
Yeah. You're like, what are these Texans talking about? Oil barons.
Yeah, it's so insane. Like everyone hitting each other.
Right.
The big like skyscrapers and then cattle. Like.
You're like, and then it's funny too, where it's like the first time that you went over to the States, you were probably imagining some version of it where it was like, I mean, you're smart enough. Right. Totally. You're like, so all of America's like this? Y'all wear crazy cowboy hats and like boots? I mean, I'm not saying that you guys were so naive to expect that, but it's just like you then expect. I mean, like everybody goes, where it's like, oh yeah, Belgian hot chocolate. Like,
yeah.
And you're just like, Belgian.
Yeah, we know the classics.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
This episode and whole series is brought to you by Squarespace. If you are looking to launch anything on the internet from a website or domain perspective, Squarespace is your creative partner throughout all of this. I want to offer you 10% off of your first website or domain with the help of Squarespace. So go to squarespace.com/outbreak, and then you'll save 10% off your first website or domain. Use the promo code Outbreak as well, and you'll be able to get that 10% unlocked for yourself. And whether you're starting a record label, whether you're showcasing your tattoo art, whatever it is, you need to have a digital footprint. You can't just be like, yo, just go to my Instagram. No, that will not work. Squarespace has cutting edge design. Trust me in saying that you don't need to know a lick of code. It's drag and drop, and they also have a lot of cool AI tools. And I know sometimes that's scary, but what it is a suggestion where it's like, hey, maybe you should put this here. And you don't need to take that advice, but the fact that it's there is incredible. And they also make it very easy for you to showcase videos as well. So say you're, putting out a new record and you want to be able to showcase some live footage from the band. You don't want to link it out to another external video site. Do it all there from your own website. So again, go to squarespace.com/outbreak and you get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I trust no other person or no other company more than Squarespace when it comes to this stuff. So squarespace.com/outbreak for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Do it now.
Considering the fact that you have, played in bands for years and you have had all of these side gigs and hustles and, job. I mean, you guys are adults now where you've got more solid jobs. I'll put that in air quotes. Yeah. But what were some of the favorite things that you did, or it doesn't even have to be favorite, maybe a miserable thing, but it allowed you to pursue the music, pursue the bands, like tour as you have? Like what things were you involved in on the job side gig front that helped you?
You mean what we did professionally at the side?
Yeah.
For me, it was, I went to university when Rise and Fall was doing a lot.
Yep.
And I consciously did not pursue a job after that. And that was the era where we did a lot of touring. So I just did some side jobs. Worked at a clothing store, the usual.
Okay.
And that was that mainly for me, actually.
Working at clothing stores, like someone that understood that you were going to be gone for a month in the U.S. Or...
Well, basically not committing to anything. Committing to a week or 2 weeks, and then sometimes that kind of dragged on. But
right.
But because I had this thing in my mind, I need to do music as much as possible, and I just had this thing in my head, like if I'm gonna start a career, I'll be having a lot of trouble and stuff.
Right. Well, yeah, you'll be if you commit too much to this thing, you're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
I can't go to the U.S. for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Exactly. And maybe that was a bit extreme at the time, but no regrets.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Well, that same era that Cedric just mentioned, when Rise and Fall was touring a lot. When Rise and Fall started, I was working for Good Life Records in Belgium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I worked there for quite a few years, 5 years in total. So when the band was building up and taking off, like they were very cool with me, like leaving for a couple of weeks. And then when our schedule became like a bit like too busy, I would say, then like Edward had no trouble like letting me go, which like the timing was perfect. And then I didn't work for a while and just focused on the band, and then started working in clothing a bit after, or a bit later on. And then I was always lucky to have like people around me that were like supportive, and then allow me to take a break for like 6 months or 3 months sometimes. You kind of like, you know, make the puzzle fit, because at that age when you don't have kids or you don't have like a mortgage or anything, it's super doable.
Right.
But even now, like I think we're both in a position where we have jobs that we enjoy and that aren't like super strict 9 to 5, where like you can kind of like, you know, Wrongman is kind of busy, but it's not like a full-time thing. But like work, you know, is there.
It's flexible.
Yeah, it's more flexible, because you get to the point in your career where you're like, you can like, take some time off or leave earlier or whatever, and it not being a big deal, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes it a lot
yeah.
easier. The last thing, this is a important question. Are you ever going to come to the United States?
I would love to, but yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, going there is not hard, but I think, you know what I mean? It's not hard at all.
Yeah.
But having a good, like a solid tour there.
Needs to make sense.
It needs to make sense, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we're definitely open to it. And if like,
Of course.
if someone reaches out and is like, yo, on tour, like want to go out with us for like a week or two, then I think we could try to make that work.
Yeah.
But it needs to make sense. Needs to be like, okay, need to be sure that, you know,
Of course, yeah.
it'll be worth it. Otherwise,
you're
we
not
could just come as tourists and just see the States again, you know. But you want to have like good shows and be able to connect with people. Yeah.
We don't need to grasp like the first opportunity just because.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it needs to make sense, and then
it's about being an adult.
yeah, being an adult.
Being an
Right.
adult.
You're like maybe not
Not
like
making past mistakes.
yeah.
I'm gonna lose $25,000 for myself to take this tour.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
exactly.
also being conscious of the fact that we're not a big band at all. So like, in order for us to go there, it would have to make sense, and we need to go out with a band that draws. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
on our own, we'd be playing to like 3 people a night. And
Yeah, right. You don't. Yeah.
you
You're like,
don't
we've done
really
that.
need to do
We've
that.
done
Yeah, we've done that.
Right.
Yeah, it happens.
Right, exactly. Well, thank you so much. I'll do the official handshake to end the
very
interview. But
Thank you.
of course, guys.
Thank you for having
thank
us.
you. It's my absolute pleasure.